Hi, I'm Robert Meehan. At Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, we believe everyone needs to be informed about the importance of healthcare coverage and the opportunities that are available. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. Healing begins here. The Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community. MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey. And by NJBIA, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Turn a dream into a degree. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. And by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. We were talking young women in leadership with two people who know it well. Dr. Trisha Medeiros, head of the upper school at Stuart Country Day School of the Sacred Heart and director of Stuart Center for Girls Leadership, and also Pam McGowen is a senior at Stuart Country Day School of the Sacred Heart and also president of the student government at the school. I want to thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Talk to us about leadership and young women and your school and why it's so important.
Well, we really started the center at the school just this year because we were having continued conversations about how we can share best practices in developing leadership. It is very mission-driven. Big part of our mission at Stuart is to develop women of character, to be leaders, to do great things in the world. And the center really has allowed us to develop new programming.
What is Stuart? For those who don't know Stuart, what is Stuart?
Stuart is an all-girls school. We have co-ed in our littlest, age 2 all the way through grade 12. Pam's a senior graduating just this year. And we are a Catholic independent school as well.
You know, I told you before we got on the air, I'm a product of an all-boys Catholic high school way back in the day in Newark, New Jersey, and it had a huge impact on my life. And I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just saying that for me, it was a, dare I use the hackneyed expression, game changer. What has it done for you?
It's definitely done a lot for me. I've been at Stuart since kindergarten, so I've had exposure to an all-girl education for a long time. I think it's really helped to empower me to pursue leadership positions in our school because it's the norm for all the girls to fill all the roles at our school. So,
talk about it. I mean, again, we're also big advocates of public school education and where it works and whatever is best for each individual child. But I'm curious about this. Be more specific. For you, this environment has done what to nurture and foster your sense of leadership?
This environment's given me confidence to really go for the opportunities that my school offers for all-girls education. It's allowed me to connect with a bunch of girls who have the same goal in mind, to just be the best that they could be in the type of environment that we have here at Stuart.
Did you know that you just wanted to be the best you could be? That was your goal early on?
Yeah, that's one thing that I guess, well, everyone at our school, that's the goal for them. So it's normal for that to be the goal.
And running for president, were you pushed, or is that something you wanted to do?
I was encouraged, and by my friends and by my sisters, but I quickly got onto the idea and really realized that it was something that I really loved to do.
Talk about the essence of leadership. And we've also talked about the fact that as a student of leadership, as someone who's taught and written extensively about it and tries to understand leadership, do you believe there's any significant difference between the way young women are taught to be leaders and ultimately become the leaders they're going to be, and young men? Is there a difference?
I think there is. I think there is. I mean, I can speak mostly to what we do with our young women. I think there is definitely a confidence level that needs to be drawn out of our girls and built up over time.
Different than boys?
I think so.
Talk about it.
What I see, you see it in the media. I have a lot of research that talks about how girls can stay back, how they can be a little more reserved around girls. And I can tell you with the all-girls environment, these girls are a little crazy.
What do you mean?
They just, there's a real camaraderie of sisterhood. They're not held back by worrying about some of what our adolescents today worry about when they're in a co-ed situation. And again, it's different for every child. I see that there's a real ability for our girls to work as a team instead of maybe against each other at times. I think what we hope to teach our girls is to celebrate each one's uniqueness, so that when you look to build a team, for example, and that's important in leadership, is that you don't just pick your friends, but you pick people that will complement your strengths and the areas for growth. And I see it in action. It's hard to describe, but there is a clear difference. You know it when you see it.
Isn't that funny about leadership? Mm-hmm. You know it when you see it, and you know it when you don't. Mm-hmm. Do you think you'd be more distracted, I'll just use that word, if it were not for the environment you're in right now?
I think I would be, because everyone's really focused on the task at hand, so you don't have the distractions in the environment of an all-girls education.
Now, science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM program at the school. Talk about it.
So we really push our girls to at least try and explore STEM fields. There's about a quarter of the population in STEM jobs that are female, and the number of jobs is supposed to grow exponentially in the next decade. So while not every student will eventually choose to pursue a STEM field, they'll at least have some exposure. Programming, for example, is very important to us. Traditionally, the girls that go into science have gone into more biological and medical fields, which is great and noble, but we'd like them to explore a little bit some of the other areas. For example, the other day I was talking to a young woman about programming using our 3D printer, and I had seen an article where somebody programmed an ultrasound for a blind woman of the unborn baby, and that moment in which they see what that programming can do for great things in the world. I think exposing children to what's out there and providing mentors to talk about that is really important.
By the way, the program, the leadership initiative that we're talking about is the Harris B. Siegel Fund for Student Leadership. That was established, in fact, by our mutual friend Patricia Costanti and her daughter Stephanie back in 2012, and it was Patricia who told us about the work going on at the school. I'm curious about this. What do you hope for these young women in their future? And is it how much they succeed out there in terms of how much money they make and prestige in their job? You're shaking your head no?
No, not at all, not at all. We didn't start this thinking that we were going to push the next generation of women to be leading Fortune 500 companies, but to know within themselves what they are capable of, what they can become, and truly to better the world. And that doesn't mean that you have to make money. It means that you have to find a passion that you love, because that is, you mentioned earlier, I forget the exact words, is you want it to be the best that you can be. When you have a passion, you want to be the best that you can be.
Speaking about that, in my research and my work around leadership, I always ask people who deal with leadership the most important leadership lesson they've learned so far in your many years. What would you say the #1 leadership lesson you learned so far is?
I think the #1 leadership lesson I've learned so far is that it's really important to engage everyone and to get everyone's input in a group, whether or not it's through club meetings or through committees or the town halls that we have at our school. Everyone's input is really important, and it's really significant if you can tap into it.
Even when they disagree and give you a hard time?
Especially when they disagree, but not when they give you a hard time.
That's the key. It's easier when they agree with you. #1 leadership lesson you learned?
I think letting each child, I mean, for me personally, is listening. I think in teaching, the #1 leadership lesson is to teach to be effective listeners, to build confidence, know yourself, and want to be the best you can be.
I want to thank both of you for joining us and wish both of you great success particularly you, because I know you're going to make a difference in the lives of other people, which is ultimately what determines how important we are in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Both.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you both.
To see more Caucus New Jersey with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We have her back, Brenda Hopper, who is CEO and State Director of New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. Good to see you, Brenda.
Good to see you.
Let's talk about a subject we haven't had a chance to talk about, the Affordable Care Act, its impact on small business. First, let's define small business.
Small business, 500 or less, but most small businesses are 1 to 20 employees.
So the law says 50 employees or more, what happens?
You have to provide health care insurance. So 50 full-time equivalent below, you do not have to provide health care
50 more you do?
Yes.
So from your expert perspective, you deal with all kinds of small businesses. Since the Affordable Care Act was put into place, when?
5 years ago.
No, it's not 5 years.
Yes.
Is that right? Wow.
Yes. Yes, the law 5 years
Overall,
ago.
talk about the impact. And then and now, by the way, it's evolved.
Yes. The positive is that many small businesses were really afraid of this act. It's going to cost, their expenses are going to go up. And it has not done that. I mean, there have been reports where it really has not made that much of an impact because most small businesses do not have to provide this insurance. However, if you do, there is a possible tax credit benefit. So it could be to the benefit of the small business to provide this insurance. They keep better employees. They provide a service to their clients. So, I mean, their employees, so it works.
And are there more options today than there were a few years ago?
5 years ago, you had to go on the exchange. And the exchange had all kinds of problems, limited plans. Today, any plan that the employer provides, they can provide that to the small business client as well. So there are better plans.
More options.
More
better
options. Better options. Premiums are competitive. So most people think that I should get a plan with a lower premium.
What do you say?
That's not always the case because you have to consider the out-of-pocket costs as well. So it's good. You have to understand and know this Affordable Care Act.
Brenda, you and your colleagues, do you sit down with small businesses and go through this with them?
That's a positive, yes.
How do you break it down for them?
Well, we hire expert consultants to work with our clients, and it's at no cost to the client. So when the small business comes in and they really don't understand Affordable Care Act, we can educate them, and it's no cost to them. So we welcome them to come to see us at the SBDC.
So improvements to the Affordable Care Act as it relates to small business, what would they be? What would they look like?
Well, the improvements, again, are the options.
No, what moving forward, do you think there could and should be? Or is this it?
I think this is it.
You think this is it?
I think this is it.
So for those who say, we're gonna change Obamacare, it's gonna be you don't.
I hope not. I mean, the positive long term is that more people have health care insurance. More people are not denied because they have pre-existing conditions. So just personally, I think it's a good thing.
From a business point of view, I mean, we have a small business. We're a not-for-profit business, right? We run this production company. And every time we've sat down with a potentially a new employee, we sit down and talk about the overall compensation package, but it also involves the health insurance situation. Now, that is a part of recruiting, and it's also potentially a part of retention of employees, is it not?
Absolutely.
Talk about it.
Well, if you can provide this benefit to your employees, then they're more likely to stay. Also, as a small business owner, you do not have to go on the exchange. You can provide individual plans, and just help pay the premium.
How does that work? Explain that.
Well, instead of me getting group health insurance,
Okay.
I can provide individual health insurance and just help the employee pay that premium. Then again, it's an expense to the company, and also I could possibly qualify for tax credit.
It's so interesting. Some people, make these sweeping statements about the Affordable Care Act and how it's this terrible thing, and it's not our job. And for those of you who watch us on public broadcast, we don't express a point of view as hosts. But it's fascinating to me that people will across the board will say we've got to get rid of it, as if there are not all these pieces to it that have had clearly positive
Yeah.
effects. Even that doesn't mean nothing's perfect, but the fact is something had to be done as it relates to healthcare, but particularly as it relates to small business. Small business couldn't continue with the status quo pre-2011, right?
Exactly.
Why?
Well, I think one of the issues for small businesses is they don't understand this very complicated Affordable Care Act. I mean, even today, there are, even to the employee, if you don't understand what a premium is or a deductible, I mean, it can be so confusing. And I remember when we were introduced to it, and I'm supposed to know these things, I was like, what the heck is this Affordable Care Act? I don't understand it. So the education of it is important. And I think that moving forward, if we educate, we can...
Before I let you out of here, Mental F 2016 beyond, the outlook for small business in New Jersey is?
Hopefully positive.
Come on.
No, 2008, we did
All
the crash and the depression and all that good stuff, but now we're moving ahead. More businesses are getting loans, they're hiring people, so we're looking forward to a positive outlook for small business.
And for those who run small businesses, having that positive outlook is critical to their success because?
Oh, because as they grow, they increase their revenues, they can diversify products, they can hire additional people. I mean, it's a good thing to be, successful.
And tell everybody again, your organization, where's it based?
It's the New Jersey Small Business Development Center, 12 locations throughout the state, headquarters at Rutgers Business School in Newark and New Brunswick.
Brenda, I want to thank you for joining us. You've joined us many times, and each time you join us, we learn something new. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Stay with us. We're right back right after this. Well done.
To see more Caucus New Jersey with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are pleased to be joined by our good friend, Dr. Reggie Caudill, who is the Dean of the Martin Tuckman School of Management at the great New Jersey Institute of Technology. Good to see you, Dean.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I have to always disclose these things. I have taught at NJIT and know the school well. And on March the 3rd, 2016, that was when, in fact, the Martin Tuckman School was named, right?
Right. Oh, what a fantastic day.
It was a big day. Tell everyone who Martin Tuckman is and why it matters.
Martin Tuckman is one of our graduates. In 1961, he graduated in mechanical engineering. But he went on, he's an innovator, he's an entrepreneur, and he just revolutionized the container freight industry. So he's a really business focused. So he's technology oriented, but business focused, and just a tremendous asset to us.
And on that day, it wasn't just a naming ceremony, but that day we also had a terrific panel discussion that I was honored to moderate with other business leaders who are connected to the School of Management. And we talked about the changing role of business schools and how your School of Management, but the philosophy of it. Why don't you do this? Describe what the philosophy is and the changing world of business.
Okay, great. Yeah, start with the world of business and how it has changed. Technologies are just across the board, integrated into what's happening in business. And we have to make changes in the way that we actually educate the next generation of business leaders. And with these technologies, it not only affects how you operate, but the data and the information that you need in order to operate a successful business
What do you mean?
today.
What do you mean the data?
Data
Give me an
is,
example.
example is just information that comes about through any source, but for example, your cell phone,
Right.
and communicating, and media systems. It's the way that companies operate, and their supply chain and information from their supply chain. Where are those products that you just purchased? When are they going to get into your store? How do you know that they're the right color, the right mix, in order to satisfy your customers' demand?
Absolutely.
So
That's
it's,
important.
it really requires that you look at how you operate, and the data that's required to do that is just growing phenomenally.
You know, Dean, one of the issues that came up that I found so fascinating, you're talking about technology, but we got into this whole discussion in the panel, back and forth, that you're talking about technology, and I sat there and I said, as someone who thinks about communication, that it must be harder to engage millennials, if you will, who are sitting there, you know, and then you're looking at pictures from that day, they're sitting there with their iPhones and handheld devices. And you're talking about technology, but then again, I said face-to-face communication was so important. You're saying, hey, wait a minute, they're not mutually exclusive. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. There's, you know, we could talk about the advances in technology and how important that is, but it's still the people skills, the communication skills, the leadership that really still makes a difference in business. And one thing that's happening with technologies, I'm not really sure that we're catching up with where the technology is. I'm not sure that we've learned yet quite how to use that technology efficiently.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, that means that the way that we communicate, especially the millennials, they're looking at efficiency and the way that they communicate very rapidly with their friends. It's quite different, though, when you get into the business world, and you have to communicate with those that are not necessarily right there with you at that same level, because you need to cross these boundaries. And it's not only boundaries associated with technologies and boundaries associated with disciplines, but it's also differences in the way that just people think and learn and want to communicate.
Reggie, what's so fascinating is that in business and in a school of management, you have to teach this as well. If we're talking about team building and face-to-face communication, is it challenging? Do you think it's more challenging for certain people, younger people who are communicating so quickly, text messages, email, to get together face-to-face?
Oh, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. You know, there are just so many examples where you end up having to cross disciplines. So it's that communication skill across those disciplines.
So hold on, back up. Engineers with
business people, with managers, with computer scientists, all of them speak a slightly different language. And so one of the keys, I think, to the future is to be able to have one foot firmly in one domain, but be able to communicate to others in the group, in the team, because there's no problem that can be addressed without it really requiring a team effort to make that happen.
So how would your school deal with that?
It's a difficult problem to deal with, but what we're doing is we are working with the computer science programs and engineering in order to really bring engineers into the business side, as well as allowing our business and management students to participate with the computer scientists and engineers.
And that day, before we let you out of here, Reggie, you were also talking about creating real life, I don't want to know if I want to call them case studies or real life challenges that force people to solve problems together, right?
Right. We're building teams where they're developing new products. And so you have to have people on the technical side to understand the right solution. But you also have to have people on managers' side in order to understand whether or not it's economically viable and how to really produce it in a way that's economic.
It's so interesting. People think an MBA, they think they know what it is. It's finance, it's management. It's much more, right?
Oh, yeah, it's much more. It's leadership, and that ability to communicate is one very important part of it. Also, you have to be technical. Any field inside of the business world today, you have to have an understanding of the analytics that are required and also the technologies that are in that field.
How about the marketing and communication? We've talked about that.
Oh, probably the most sophisticated field for business because it deals with huge data sets. You're trying to understand what your customer wants before your customer even knows what they want.
And the conversations you and I have had about leadership, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah. You can't get along in this world without that. You have to have that differentiator in order to be successful. And for those people who have the business skills, who have that technical knowledge, but also have that ability to lead and to understand how to put teams together and make them execute.
That's what it's going to take.
That's the solution.
And that's what we're going to be teaching at the Martin Tuckman School of Management at NJIT, otherwise known as the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Our good friend, Dr. Reggie Caudill, I want to thank you for joining us and talking about the School of Management, NJIT. Thank you, Reggie. Good
My
stuff.
pleasure, Steve.
To see more Caucus New Jersey with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato. The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Holy Name Medical Center, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, MD Advantage, and by NJ Best. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
I will. It's the oath of those strong in character. A call to build our own dreams, not someone else's. Doing whatever it takes to create a better way. This is Health Republic, a not-for-profit co-op health plan created to give us control of our own health care. So we all have the support we need when it's time to say, I will. Health Republic. Live independently healthy.